Lemongrass, you say? Now, lemongrass is a real exotic delight. We usually associate lemongrass with Asian cooking, particularly sort of Southeast Asian cuisine. In our house we like the jungle curry, and I think lemongrass was always something that I really wanted to grow. I was watching an episode of Gardener's World one day, and they were talking about the Victorians and how the Victorians would grow all sorts of things in their greenhouses, and I was shocked to find out that they actually grew a lot of lemongrass, and it is a lot hardier than what a lot of people think. I say that, I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to grow lemongrass in a place where you're going to get frosts. In fact, anything below 5 degrees and it's probably going to start looking a little bit unhealthy and can rot away where it sits, you know, because it likes well drained, and anything that likes well drained and a tropical sort of environment, cold wet conditions are a no-no. But one thing I've been doing is I've been growing this for a couple of years now, and with very good results. And I find, you know, if you divide it up at the base, you can multiply your stock. You know, one thing you're going to really have to do if you want to grow this all year round and you're in a temperate climate like the US, Europe or the UK like here, you're going to have to be prepared to sacrifice your window ledge. What I do now is I grow my lemongrass, and of all the plants I divide them up, and I will get a 5 litre pot, and I like these sort of plastic terracotta troughs, so you can put your 5 litre pot in there and keep it moist, because that's one of the problems with growing on the windowsill. You don't want any moisture coming through onto the window ledge, but I find these contain it quite well. And I mean, what I've done here is, I mean, these don't look the healthiest, but these I just divided up a big clump of it, because during the summer it can get quite strong. So I divided up into singular stems, and I just popped them just to overwinter, and now I'll be planting them out, and that's actually what I do. And I can guarantee that one of these that I plant, and there's the root system there, I just pulled one out, will grow into a big bush of maybe 10 stems, and I'll separate them out and I'll overwinter them like this. And I treat them quite rough. Now, in order to get these going, initially I tried with seed, and the seed, they're almost like a little feathery sort of little seed. I had no luck at all, and when I researched it, I bought the seeds online. They're really hard to, I mean, just a plant, just biologically, just doesn't take very well from seed. I mean, it spreads very easily via dividing anyway. So what I would recommend you do is go to a supermarket, find a packet of the lemongrass, because, you know, typically you're harvesting this bottom stem, and just try and go, I quickly flip through the packets and find the one with the most root base on it. You're looking for that little nodular bit at the bottom where they've just sort of cut it, and you don't necessarily have to have a root, but the more of that you've got, the better. And then you get the one like that, and a lot of people say put them in water. What I usually do is I put them in a pot, and I put them around the edge of the pot, and I place the pot in a puddle of water at the bottom, so you know that it's, I mean, but you know, a lot of people say water's better, but I've done it like that with quite good results. And then just keep it warm, especially when they're young. You really want to put them in a warm, light place like a polytunnel or a greenhouse, and just keep your eye on them, make sure they've still got enough moisture content to them. And then, you know, once you get them going, you can just keep them going every year. I've got 2 pots like this, and what I'll be doing in this video is I'm going to be doing an experiment throughout the year to see how good it goes. I mean, like, it's late May now, so I'm a bit late really to get them really going well, but you know, the weather's been a bit funny. You know, we had nearly 30 degrees the other day, and now it's like a thunderstorm, not a thunderstorm, but it's like a hurricane. So all the tomatoes are taking a bit of a battering. So you know, oh, and it's raining now as well, if you can hear. So there you go. So what I'll do is today I will plod some just in the garden, just randomly, and see how they do throughout the season. I'll put one in the polytunnel with an excessive root run, and the others I will put up in these 5 litre pots, and then I'll just grow them on, and we'll see how they get on the patio, and we'll at the end of the year have a little look and see how they did. I'm going to pop this one in, and it's got quite a good root run here. Don't forget the roots are quite delicate, We'll give that a water and we'll see how we get on throughout the year. It's always good to create a little watering well around the plant with the soil, and it just makes sure you can guarantee it's going to get down to the roots. Alright, for my next trick I'm going to plant 3 of these stalks in a terracotta pot, and that will be the patio version of the experiment. And this patio is probably only going to get about 50% sun a day, but it gets very warm in the afternoon as the sun comes around the side of the house. We'll see how we get on with that. Right, so I've got my plants. I've got a very sandy mix here, moisture retentive loam, but I've mixed in some sand for some drainage. So we just have a little look at these root systems here. This one, yeah, no, this one's got quite a good root system on it. Yeah, so you can see the very sort of delicate, but they're you can see the white roots starting to grow. I think if we put 3 in there, then we should get a tight bunch this summer. Try and cover up the whole of the clay pots. I usually got quite a big old hole, the clay pots. Just fill her up with soil, about halfway. Right, and it, you know, it is worth tidying them up a little bit if you've got to trim the leaves. I mean, obviously in your case, you'll probably be starting them from home bought plants, so you're probably not going to have ones as big as this. But if you want to get into the cycle of doing it every year, this is the sort of storage system I use. Yeah, once you've got them in like that, you can backfill around there. You can see the sort of root system spreading out. One thing I will say is you want them to be secure. You've really got to keep them secure when you plant them, you know. You don't want the wind to come and knock them down. So, yeah, just backfill them and give them a water. Does usually help to put a bit of gravel in the top, make it look nice and neat and tidy. I think that's going to look quite smart. I've just selected this little place in the middle of a normal flower bed. I'm going to plant it there. About 50% sun it's getting a day, and we'll see how we get on with that as well. This one hasn't seemed to have done so well. To be fair, I didn't really weed it properly, and it's quite dry here. One thing I've noticed about these grasses, they do well in the greenhouse. They like the humidity and they like the moisture. Okay, so this lemongrass in the terracotta pot, doing really well in this warm little kind of Mediterranean garden we got here. Really put on some nice growth. It's sort of late July now, so still got a bit of growth to go. Just to show you for comparison, this is the lemongrass that's been in the greenhouse all year. Hasn't really been in full sun either, just in a shady, warm, moist spot. And, you know, it's done a hell of a lot better than the ones outside. Really good looking plant, really lemony smelling leaves. Really, really beautiful. And you know, what I say is with this, if you want to keep this in a reasonable sized pot, with preferably a vessel underneath, you know, you can just take this in every year. They will survive. I mean, I managed to make one survive all year in this greenhouse last year, and there's loads of tears in it. I've just got the replacement cover. So, you know, if the weather's not too harsh in winter with a bit of cover, these can last outside all winter. Now, another one of the great things about lemon balm is that it can repel pests. So things like mosquitoes. If you want to put it by the patio, it's quite a decorative grass. I mean, all grasses are quite decorative, but it can get to sort of, you know, up to 5 foot high. In a pot, you're probably going to end up no more than a metre. But, you know, it's noticeably lemony. If you walk past it or run your hand through it, you will smell it. And that will apparently keep things like mosquitoes away. So if you're going to put them on, just remember that the roots are very fragile and well drained, light sun. If you're really serious about growing a lot of it for a crop, use it in a polytunnel or a greenhouse, but you can put them in a sunny place in the garden bed as well. Just remember, as much sun and heat as you can get, and you should be fine. So some of the health benefits: it can reduce swelling and fever. Apparently, I haven't tried it, but that's what everyone tells me. It can be used as an antibacterial, can stop bacterial growth, can reduce cholesterol in the blood. So, you know, so yeah. And apparently it can help ladies with their time of the calendar, if you know what I mean. So, I think it's really worth giving a go, this one. And as I say, one of the peculiar things that happened this year is I did actually manage to keep one alive all year in the polytunnel. And that's unheard of for anything that's really quite tender. So it's, you know, it's got the potential. You can push this quite far. If you live in the town or a sunny patio, as long as you're prepared to be 100% safe to take it in the winter, you should have no problem. Alright, so if you want to grow this, you're best going with a rootstock, getting a few going like I've done here. I've got 2 of these pots, and as long as it's not too wet and boggy, you should have, and loads of warmth, you should not have a problem with it. Alright, so there you have it, lemongrass. An interesting ornamental plant, smells very lemony, got some great health benefits, and it's a joy to have in the garden. Don't delay, get out there and grow some!